Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast, the official podcast of Left Wing Lock, your number one source for fantasy hockey intelligence, and a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm Devon Davidson, your host, and with me, as always, Bruce Gunther.
Hello.
We're missing half the team here. Half the hacks are gone.
They've all run away.
This tends to happen in the off season.
Yes.
Playoffs or no playoffs, we kind of tend to see a little less of John and a little less of Tyler. But hopefully we'll have him back next week.
John's shackled to his desk at the office.
Yeah. So he's got a legitimate reason not to be here. Um, I did consult with him on the list this week, so
Uh-oh.
I do have a fill in that we'll talk about in a second. So I guess Bruce, now this is our first actual podcast. We've been doing our live stream episodes on YouTube. So for anyone who has missed them, check us out, Fantasy Hockey Hacks on YouTube. You can subscribe and stay up to date on the live streams we're doing there. Bruce and I are doing one for about 15 or 20 minutes every noon
Every
hour,
day? Yeah.
Monday to Fridays, just to cover the playoffs, go over some DFS stuff, some game day bets, some picks, some prop bets. Um, that's about it. Hey, Bruce.
That's about it.
That's the deal. So definitely subscribe, check that out. And then, for this episode, for episode 61, we're going to do an NHL playoffs review for round one, what we've seen so far. We'll talk a little bit of DFS, probably a lot of DFS slant and talk, just based on the fact that's where we are in the season. And Bruce and I have been doing our game bets, or our game picks. So we'll continue that theme a little bit here as well.
I'm not doing too well.
We're both basically at a coin flip here, Bruce. I think. What were you at? You were at 52% or something.
I'm just
50%. I was at 57, and then obviously both of us took the Rangers to tie up that series in Pittsburgh tonight. That didn't happen.
the Rangers forgot to show up.
Yeah, I mean, but we both got the Panthers. We both took the Panthers. We both got Colorado, and then I think we both took Calgary. And Calgary's actually they're on the board now. So spoiler alert: Calgary just scored. I think it was Anderson. So
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I guess we might as well get right into it, Bruce. I think you and I want to try and do these in about half an hour, 45 minutes tops, when we're kind of in the off season like this. We've got a little
Yeah.
less hockey content, right?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so we'll kick it off. John's list, sans John. So if you're new to the podcast, if you've been listening, or if you haven't been listening for a while, John's list is basically just John's shit list of players, past and present. We've decided to make this a regular segment of the podcast, and it's just a fun way for us to kick off the show and talk about some current events in hockey. And so we're going to start off the week with Johnny Goudreau.
Johnny
-2,
Hockey.
Bruce. Minus
What's
two,
that?
2 assists, and 9 shots on goal through 3.5 games.
It's not good if you want to win.
No, I mean this is a player that was top 10 in scoring this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. No. Well, it's as we're finding out, the Dallas Flame series is turning out to be more of a fight than it is a hockey series. They're going to war, those two teams. Dallas knows they got to battle if they want to win, and they've been doing a damn good job of it so far.
Yeah, they really don't like each other.
No, that's the excuse me, that's the general impression I've seen so far.
I've actually really been enjoying the back and forth between Klingberg and Anderson.
Well, Klingberg was just trying to fight everybody there for a while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In terms of Goudreau, though, like this is a guy he's built a reputation for being a player that disappears in the playoffs. I understand that he's a smaller player, but he does it in the regular season, and for some reason, when it comes to the playoffs, Goudreau ghosts everybody. So hopefully he didn't grab too many Flames or Johnny Goudreau in terms of playoff pools or anything like that, because you would be sorely disappointed at this point, Bruce.
Well, I think in the Flames in general, right? They've scored what? Well, tonight's goal, 4 goals in 4 games.
Yeah.
So their whole offense as a whole is kind of evaporated here in the playoffs so far. Dallas is playing them tight, and they don't have any room for anything. And if they do get a chance, they're not burying it.
Yeah. And the thing too, like you and I've talked about this on the streams, Calgary has carried the play more or less 5 on 5.
Yeah, Oettinger has been putting on a show.
Yeah, we'll talk about him here in a second. Well, that's probably a good segue, Bruce. We'll move into our fantasy lock of the week for May 2nd to the 9th, presented by Left Wing Lock. Um, and we'll talk about Jake Oettinger first. We'll go kind of in reverse order, maybe. So Jake Oettinger, to date, 2-1-0 record, 1.01 goals against average, a 969 save percentage in 3 games played. So I mean,
That's fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic.
it's funny like looking now at how the playoffs have carried out so far. You never would have guessed that he was splitting time with Scott Wedgwood down the stretch.
No, for sure, right? And when the playoffs started, he's come to play. Like he hasn't fallen apart or nothing. He's just cruising right along. Like you watch a couple of the saves he made tonight, like the one on oh, I forget who the shot was. Just incredible save.
Oh yeah, he robbed somebody that glove save. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I know which player you're talking about.
forgot who it was, but yeah, it was just incredible.
Yeah, we'll post that on the Twitter feed later.
For sure.
So Jake Oettinger, like I mean, in terms of season long fantasy, definitely somebody in keeper leagues especially. You're gonna want to, if you have him, if you have a chance to keep him for next season, he's probably someone you'd keep. Would really think, Bruce?
Yeah, well, based on his performance so far, his draft stock is going up for next season.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget about Zero G, of course. But our buddy Nate would be sorely disappointed to hear us talk about Jake Oettinger. But he's been good. He had a good regular season, and he's been really good in the playoffs here. So
He sure has.
and then in DFS, we both I think failed to actually roster him in DraftKings today. But
He was my original choice, but I paid up for Shersterkin, so you know where I'm ranking tonight. Oh God,
oh, not so good.
not so well.
I actually in one roster I just stacked a bunch of Penguins. I had Crosby,
Did you?
Gensel, Letang. I had Rust. Like they all cashed in today, so that was good.
I went with a smattering of players from various teams. So I'm pretty sure I'm near the bottom the way things are playing out so far.
Okay, let's move on. Utility player David Perron, DraftKings salary $5,300. He's got 7 points, 5 goals, 1 game winner, 19 shots on goal. He's actually tied for third overall in playoff scoring right now.
Nice, very nice. He's well, veteran performer, right? He's been there with the Blues. He's been there with Vegas. I don't think Oilers were in the playoffs when he played with the Oilers.
I
Can't
don't think
remember.
so. He had a pretty short stint with Edmonton. It felt like.
He wasn't there very long, no.
And he wasn't anywhere close to the performer he's been with St. Louis, even with Vegas. Like
Yeah,
Edmonton
no.
didn't get this prime. I think his career high at that point was 28 goals in Edmonton was a number he set.
Yeah,
And
I think so.
with St. Louis, he's just scoring for fun all the time.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, someone keep an eye on for next season. DFS, great option there. We'll move on to defenseman here, Cale Makar.
What can't you say about Cale Makar? Like that, he's just been incredible so far for them, for Colorado. It's been
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah. Well, and like we've talked about lots, Bruce. You're the president of that fan club, right? And for good reason. Um, I think I might just jump on that bandwagon too, on the Cale Makar bandwagon.
He's incredible. That's all you can really say. It's just incredible.
Well, so before the playoffs had started, I was totally Team Yossi. Like, give that guy the Norris. I still think he should get the Norris for the regular season, right? It's based on the regular season.
Yeah. When you look if you look, well, you look at the three of them, right? So it's what it was: Yossi, Makar, and who was
Hedman.
the third one?
Hedman.
Hedman.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my pick out of those three would be Yossi. You
Yeah.
look at the team and what he's done for the team, and it's got to be Yossi. I think.
I agree, but what Makar has now done here through the 3 or 4 games in the postseason, it
Oh
has
yeah,
been stunning. Like
yeah.
he's third overall in playoff scoring as a defenseman. I still can't get over he had 23 shot attempts in game 2.
23
23 shot attempts, 12 shots on goal.
likes to fire that puck.
That's nuts.
That is
So yeah, he's someone, Bruce, you and I have been spinning up in DFS.
definitely.
Yeah. Evander Kane, has been a game changer for the Edmonton Oilers. $6,400 in DraftKings, 6 points, 5 goals, 21 hits. So he's putting up 5.25 hits per game. Um, he's has had a real impact on the makeup of that team and just how effective they are, 5 on
Oh,
5
absolutely.
and in terms of total offense.
Yeah, when it comes into the physical side of it, right? He's dragging them into it, right? Because they're really well. They Cassian, Archibald, I guess McLeod, but they're not really like you don't see Connor and Leon out there banging bodies, right? Not too much, right? And Evander just drags them into it, right? So
Yeah,
it's
and they needed that. I mean, it was kind of funny. The game last night. At one point, he had two guys on his arms, and the referee trying to break him up, and he was just like trying to carry both guys on his shoulders. It was pretty funny. He was fired up though. It was towards the end of the game, and but I mean, for all the discussion around his off ice stuff, um, I've really been impressed with his on ice play, and I guess that's never really been an issue.
no.
And I'll say too, like what I've seen from him, just at a distance. Obviously, I don't know him, but he seems comfortable in Edmonton. He seems to be enjoying his time here. His teammates seem to like him.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
been
he's fit in fantastically on the ice. Like
yeah,
it's been almost seamless.
it's been. I think it's exceeded everyone's expectations, basically.
I would think. Well, they looked at I forget was it was well since he was signed as an Oiler, he had and so from when he was signed to the end of the season, they had how many goals he had scored. Leon was first, Evander was second, and McDavid was third.
Yeah, I saw that too.
28, 26, and 24, I think were the numbers. Like it was like you're not gonna there was no one at the trade deadline they would have found that would be able to drop in and do that.
Not even close.
And they got him for a song basically. Or as some would say, they threw their morals out the window to sign him. But I'm sure if the Oilers wouldn't have thrown him out the window to sign him, there would have been a bunch of other teams that would have done the same thing to sign him.
Yeah, yeah, no
Because
question.
his on ice talent has never been in dispute. Just the
Agreed.
off ice stuff.
The other guy I had here, well, I got two more. Sidney Crosby. So he had 3 points tonight, I think. $7,200 on DraftKings, 6 points, 1 goal. This is before tonight's game. Put him third in scoring, playing 24:47 average time on ice. I think we talked about that in the live stream earlier today, but he looks like vintage Crosby. He's been great.
He's been on a mission, right? They weren't giving him much of a chance against the Rangers, and here they've chased Shersterkin twice now in successive games. So it's they look great.
Well,
Makes my
and
pick look terrible, but
well,
I'm
mine
okay with
too.
that.
I'm right there with you, Bruce. But we've talked about it lots this past week or so. The Penguins have actually been carrying the play 5-on-5 in terms of
Yeah,
possession, shot attempts, scoring chances, all that kind of stuff. They've been all over them, and the Rangers have been relying on Shersterkin and special teams.
yeah. And when he took it at the Penguins too, right? They lost D. Smith in first game, right, to a core muscle injury, and
Yep.
Domingue comes in and well, his last time he played up or was up, he didn't do too well, and he has been solid for the Penguins back there.
Yeah, I got to look at Domingue's numbers here. If I recall, like his peripherals weren't actually like his wins. He's been winning for them, but I mean his peripherals have
Yeah,
just been.
they're not outstanding, but they've been solid,
But
which
tonight
is
I
the
think he
way.
had a good game. Did he not?
Yeah, they won what 7-2, I think.
Yeah, he had a 917 save percentage. So like this was by far his best game in terms of his peripherals. Um, but it was the fewest shots he's faced.
When you get run support like that, it makes your job pretty easy. You can play a little more laid back, right? When you've got a 7 goal cushion to work with, it's
Yeah, no kidding. So good stuff there. I mean, I did not take the Penguins to win, so they're gonna
no,
bust my bracket, but that's okay.
makes two of us.
It's all good. I'd much rather see Sid do it. I think part of their motivation too has to be that this is sort of the last dance for that roster.
That's what it sounds like.
Like I don't think they're gonna sign Letang back, at least not at the price point he probably wants.
No, probably not.
And is Malkin an RFA or sorry UFA as well?
That's a great question.
Contract guy.
Virgin didn't anticipate that question coming up.
Yeah, I'm just throwing you curveballs here. While Bruce is looking that up, I'm just going to move on to the last guy on our fantasy lock list here. That's Brad Marchand. DK salary of $6,700, 9 points, 3 goals, 1 game-winning goal, 5 power play points, 11 shots on goal, 75% power play share, just over 20 minutes of time on ice. He is your playoff scoring leader and our fantasy lock of the week.
All right, so Malkin is a UFA, Letang, Rust, Evan Rodriguez. They did well for them early in the season. And D. Smith is a free agent, as is Domingue.
All right, there you go. Yep, so it's their last crack at it as a roster anyway, as they are today. And that's got to be some motivation for that team.
I would think so. And they get some solid goaltending from Domingue, they'll be able to do some damage here.
I mean, at least until Jarry can come back, hopefully, right?
Yep. I think they said he'd be available. Was it later in the series, or was he next? I get all there's so many goaltending injuries and things. I get them all mixed up.
We'll talk about that in a second in headlines, right? But
sounds good.
At this point, I think realistically, if you can get past the Rangers in 5 games, knock on wood, like you're not in any rush to bring back Jarry or try to push him. Like he can just rest up and get ready for the second round.
No, like I said, Domingue hasn't been terrible. He's been solid. So as long as he can continue to provide solid goaltending, there's no need to rush him back.
Yep. Okay, on that note, Bruce, let's move on to headlines with the Hacks, news and injury updates for May 2nd to May 9th, the first week of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. The 2021-2022 regular season has wrapped, but if you're planning to defend your fantasy hockey championship next season, be sure to get your draft kit from our partner, Left Wing Lock. I've included the link in the description, the show notes. We'll have more details to Mike's draft kits. I know he's in the process of working on those right now. Mike, I'm sure you're listening. Let us know when you have details, and we will make sure to share them with our listeners.
For sure.
And Bruce, we might as well be honest with our listeners because we've been honest with them to this point. Bruce and I slacked a little bit on the headlines notes this week.
Just a little bit. It was some last minute pounding of the keys to fill this one out.
And to be fair, it was a long regular season, and I think we put a lot of time and effort into all the content before. And I mean, now knowing that our listeners aren't in dire need of the news and injury updates, we kind of took a bit of a laid back approach this week. But anyway, here's what we got. So April's 3 stars of the month: Steven Stamkos, Mike Smith, and Vladimir Tarasenko. And boy, am I sad that John is not here to see Mike Smith's name.
I know. That list. I giggled when I typed that one in. So this is great for John, but yeah, he's at work.
I can't even hear him groan, but that's okay. Steven Stamkos, 12 goals, 21 assists, 33 points in 16 games. That is outrageous, Bruce.
That is incredible. Incredible.
Like, that guy almost single-handedly carried me to 2 championships this year.
He pretty much did. I know. I was there.
Not to like rub that in, but it's just he went ablaze at the right time of the year. He just went on this crazy run.
Yeah, warming up for the playoffs.
Yeah. Mike Smith, equally as impressive, 9-0-0 record with a .951 save percentage and a 1.66 goals against average with 2 shutouts.
Not bad for 40 years old, eh?
No, I don't care what John says. Like he's been fantastic for that Oilers squad.
You can't ask much more. You can't ask for more for what he's done for that team. So this year in the playoffs, and even last year in the playoffs, you just can't. Well, he is doing everything he can to keep him in the game.
Yeah, he has. As they say, Schmitty battles.
He sure does.
I'm just gonna look up his numbers here, but I want to say he's around a .940 through these playoffs so far.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
I'm just going to look this up here really quick. First week of the season, 2-2-0. 2.27 goals against average, 942 save percentage, and a 4.88 goals saved above average.
Not bad at all.
So you're probably going to want to keep him in your keeper leagues, your dynasty leagues. I'm kidding. I don't. He won't make it that far, but definitely in a season-long redraft league, I'd give him a look next year at the right price point.
I think if you're going 0G, he could be available down at the bottom.
Yeah, wouldn't he be a great pickup in the 15th round?
Definitely.
I mean, you have to understand he's not going to play until January or February. But,
yeah, exactly, right?
He's going to look really good come playoff time.
Pull a hammy in training camp again and be out the first 3 months.
Yeah. Bruce, I forgot you're supposed to be leading the notes here, man. What am I doing?
You're doing great. Just keep on going.
Oh, man. All right, well, Mike Yeo was relieved of his coaching duties for the Philadelphia Flyers. Not much of a surprise there, I guess, Bruce, given what the Flyers did this season.
Yeah, they've been a train wreck for a good chunk of the season. I don't know what they're going to do next. I really don't. That'd be a good question for Mike. He'd probably have some insight on what they need to do.
Yeah. But, yeah, we'll have to get Mike back on here soon to factor fiction, or we'll maybe talk some playoffs, or
for sure.
It feels like talking about some betting. I don't know. We'll get into that.
Maybe.
I think he mentioned on Twitter today something about Barry Trotz. Maybe he could be the next coach of the Philadelphia Flyers.
That'd be interesting.
I actually think it makes a lot of sense. Like, if you could bring Barry Trotz in and fix that defense.
Oh, yeah, because Trotz is all about defense, right? It's structure and defense. That's what he does.
They need that.
They do.
Like, what would that do for Carter Hart?
Make his life a lot easier. That's for sure.
I was gonna send him a text and just joke and say, like, think of the value for Martin Jones if Barry Trotz was in Philly.
Trade him for McDavid 1-for-1.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, I guess okay. So we just sang Mike Smith's praises. Let's talk about how
his game one oops
at times. Yeah. Well, so the thing that's really frustrating now, Bruce, is you look back and the series is tied 2-2. So that gaffe he made in game one was it can potentially be a series changer.
Oh, that or the egg they laid last night in LA.
Well, both. I mean, obviously it's a long series. I'm not going to pin a series loss on Smith if it goes like he's been fantastic. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You don't get too upset about it because it's the first game of the series. But if you look back on it and the series goes 7 games and you could have had that first one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If the Oilers do end up losing, you'll look at his gaff in game 1 and you'll look at the no-show here in game 4 and.
And we'll cry, Bruce. As loyal Oilers fans, we will cry.
Most likely, yes.
Casey DeSmith took himself out of game 1 after suffering an injury. Was core muscle surgery was required, so he's out for the rest of the playoffs. Kind of a strange situation there, right? In game 1, they go to triple overtime. Was it the first OT or the second OT he got pulled?
I think it was the second one he pulled.
And then Deming came in.
Yeah. And held the fort.
Yep. We just mentioned a second ago Barry Trotz relieved his coaching duties, so we won't dwell on that any further. I guess one thing we should talk about is you had mentioned it really wasn't fair to Trotz, right? Like he was literally 1 goal away from the Stanley Cup final last spring.
Yeah,
you elaborate on that.
Yeah, he went from basically being one goal away from the Stanley Cup final. They have one bad season and he's out. But was doing some reading and some listening today, and what it sounded like is in the players' exit meetings, they had all mentioned that it was time for a different voice. So
okay.
It's kind of what the common theme was. So, and two, if you listen to Lou's press conference, basically he just said that Barry was relieved. He wasn't going to elaborate or anything like that. The news about the players, it said, came out afterwards. So I think part of this, Lou doesn't want to throw Barry under the bus, obviously, because Barry's did some great things for the team. Yeah. And two, he wants to tried to keep what the players were saying confidential. out of respect for Barry, right? Because he did some great things for this team, and they had one bad season, and he's gone just like that, right? But this is
Yeah,
it's a more of a what have you done for me lately than what did you do last for me last year. See, it's the league, so
yeah, that's very true. And I mean, you've got some very young, talented players on that roster. Like, excuse me, from a fantasy perspective, like a fantasy impact of this, I think we're potentially going to see some better offensive output from a guy like Matthew Barzal, um,
Barzell, Dobson, hopefully
Wallstrom.
Wallstrom, hopefully.
Yeah. So there could be some positives. The
Yeah,
negative impact could potentially be Ilya Sorokin. Like what happens to him defensively, right?
yeah, that's very true. But he did well this year considering how bad the team was. He had some pretty nice numbers this year. He was, I think, top five in um, save percentage and uh, goals against average.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's talented enough. And I was talking with Michael Amato about this on Twitter today. I think he's talented enough to sort of overcome some potential shortcomings defensively if they go to more of an offensively minded coach, right?
I think
They'll
so.
still make it work. He'll be fine.
Yeah. And let's put it this way: Trotz isn't going to be unemployed for very long. If he wants to start coach, go back into coaching right away, he will get employed quickly. There will be teams that will be line up for him.
Agreed. Yeah. Charlie Mcavoy was in COVID-19 protocol. We're kind of unsure of his status at this point. He did miss Game 4. They didn't need him though. They did just fine without him.
Sounded like he
Um,
wasn't. Sounded like he wasn't traveling.
yeah, the fact that he tested positive, like the fact they tested him, to me indicates he was obviously not feeling good,
Yeah.
significantly sick. Um, so I would expect he's not going to be. Well, if he's not traveling, he might miss another game or two, right?
Yeah.
Darcy Kemper was out for the Avalanche after taking a stick to the eye in Game 3. He did not dress for Game 4. Got some swelling around his eye. Um, so I haven't checked the score actually in that game with Nashville and Colorado, but um, that's definitely an opportunity if Nashville wants to try and continue that series.
No, definitely. What? That's Frank Kuzin net. It is currently
2-2.
2-2 in the end of the second period.
Yeah. And 1-0 Calgary. Okay. Uh, Igor Shersterkin, like you mentioned earlier, pulled twice now in the last two games. 10.0 goals against average, a 778 save percentage, and a negative 5.99 goals saved above average. He has been awful the last two starts.
Oh, as one person put it, he looked tired out there. Well, when you're facing that much rubber and your defense is suspect to begin with, it's at some point you're going to wear out. And like really, he's played what? So triple overtime in the first game. So he's already played like 6 games.
Yeah, I'm not going to put all of this on Shusterkin, but those are some pretty rough numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
fatigue
are.
is setting in, I'm sure.
I think so.
And then just the last little bit of news here quickly was Torrey Krug missed Sunday's game, as did Nick Leddy. So I found it interesting. Their blue line has been nicked up a little bit, but they've been just fine. The Blues have been as good or better than expected.
Oh, that series is a slugfest. They're just the fact that one person I think mentioned thing on Twitter today is hopefully St. Louis has enough defensemen to get through this series. Because they're losing them left, right, and center.
Yeah.
But they won last night without Krug and Leddy, so they Perunovich back.
Oh, and we didn't put it in here, but Jordan Binnington
Yeah,
starting to.
Benny got the win.
Yeah.
Good for him. He needs that.
Was it a 9? It was a 915 or 925 save percentage. I think it was a 925. I think, but
Yeah, he was good.
good for him. That's something you like to see. I mean, we all kind
Most
of wondered if he
definitely.
was done, right?
Well, yeah, right, because he lost his starting job to Huso during the regular season here, but Huso hasn't done as well here in the playoffs, so they gave Bennington a chance, and he's taking the ball and running with it. So
Yeah.
see how much leash he gets.
Time will tell. Now is probably a good time to move into our DraftKings ad read. As a member of the Hockey Podcast Network, the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast is a proud partner of DraftKings. Hockey fans, the pursuit of the Stanley Cup is on, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has an unbelievable offer for the most exciting playoffs in sports. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $100 in free bets, no matter what, win or lose. Looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the playoffs? With DraftKings same-game parlays, you can do that. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more. It's your shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See our show notes for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed. We've got all the phone numbers listed there, all the text lines. It's a serious problem. Just ask Tyler. He'll tell you all about it. Gambling's addiction. And we'll put the information up there for anyone that needs it. So there you have it. And on a lighter note, Bruce, we're going to move on to playoff performers and picks. So we're just going to talk about some of the players we've been impressed with so far through round one of the playoffs and some picks that we would suggest for DraftKings lineups moving forward. For the duration of the 2021-2022 Stanley Cup Playoffs, we will continue doing this, and it'll be included in each episode of the podcast. So kicking things off here, the perfection line out in Boston. They finally reunited them, Bruce, in Game 3.
And they have been magic ever since. They have been close to their name. They have been close to perfection.
Damn close. So I think we talked earlier in the stream, like I said, 16 points through 2 games for that line. A 79.31 Corsi for, 86 shots for percentage, 100 goal for percentage, 94.89 expected goals for percentage, an 80% scoring chance for percentage, and 100% high danger chances for. They've actually outchanced the opposition 12-0 in terms of high danger scoring chances for through 2 games.
It's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. So there you have it. If you have a chance to stack those guys, do it. I did it in Game 3. I didn't do it in Game 4, Bruce, because I kind of thought we'd get some pushback from Carolina, but I should have went right back to it.
Yeah, exactly. I think I will go back to it just because.
I kind of breezed over it. David Pastrnak, $7,400. Patrice Bergeron, $7,000, and Brad Marchand, $6,700. And I kind of anticipate that number is going to continue to go up, right? So
I would think so. After his 5-point performance here the other night, I think it's going up.
Yeah, so it's going to definitely be a stack you'll have to spend up for, and then you're going to have to find some value picks to fill out the rest of your roster. But at this point, it's worth it. Kirill Kaprizov, Bruce's favorite player. DraftKings salary, $8,000. Fantasy points per game right now, 23.12. He's been great for the Wild. He's tied for third in playoff scoring with 5 goals, 1 assist, 20 shots on goal, and 2 game winners.
That's big, 2 game winners.
Yeah, he's been clutch for them. I've kind of warmed up to him. I'm still not going to give him any credit for Rookie of the Year. I think that's nonsense. But yeah, in terms of production, he's been great.
He's been great.
Next up, the Blues top line. So Ryan O'Reilly, this is a great value pick. $4,500 on DraftKings, 17.6 fantasy points per game. David Perron, $5,300, 24.32 fantasy points per game.
Wow, that's really good.
And at least through the early part of this series, a lot of rosters were not including those 2 players because everybody was favoring Minnesota.
Yeah, same as me. That's what I did too.
Yeah, I've got the Blues winning this one in 7, but honestly, it's a coin flip.
I think so. I think
Cale
so.
Makar, we mentioned him earlier. I mean,
is there anything else to say about him?
No, yeah, we've kind of beat that dead horse, but I mean, just spend up for Cale Makar. That's all I really have to say there. Evan Bouchard, if you're looking at someone who's a little bit more affordable, he was leading defenseman in scoring at 1 point, and now I think he's dropped off a little just because he had no points last night, but 5 assists in 4 playoff games. That was actually the same number of points as Victor Hedman at the time of writing.
Yeah.
10 shots in 4 games played, and that's with no power play time, Bruce. Little power play time.
Yeah. He's a good one for the Oilers. He's going to be good for them for quite a while.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be Cale Makar good, but he's going to be damn
No,
good.
he's going to be good.
And he's learning from a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer in Duncan Keith.
Absolutely.
We'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to a good old Saskatoon boy, Connor Ingram. DK salary $7,400, so he's definitely a bargain in terms of goaltenders. 17.6 fantasy points per game. I want to say that's before the blowout in Game 3, but he's been good.
He's given Nashville a chance as much as he can. It's
and I don't know. I should pull up his numbers here for tonight because it's still a relatively tight game.
Yeah.
At the moment.
And two in the blowout game too, that was 4 of those goals were power play goals. Though Nashville was not disciplined at all, and Colorado was just flying with the puck. Ingram didn't have pretty much a chance on most of those goals.
917 save percentage so far tonight, so he's faced 24 shots let in too. I haven't dug into the details there, but that's just kind of the basics.
And Makar scored tonight.
Oh, Makar did.
Yeah. He got their second goal.
I think he was on our prop bets list today, was he not?
He was.
Like plus 200. So there you go. Bruce. If you'd put down a couple units on that, you would have made some monies.
Yep.
And then the last guy we want to talk about here is Jake Oettinger. We talked about him earlier. I've given you his numbers. He's been fantastic. Really nothing else to say there. His DraftKings salary $7,500. He's averaging just over 24.5 points, fantasy points per game.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
And then just to finish off the podcast here, we're kind of approaching that 40-minute mark. What has been the most entertaining series thus far for you, Bruce?
Considering I haven't watched a whole lot of it, from what I've read though, I would have to say Dallas and Calgary. I did not really give Dallas a whole lot of a chance against Calgary, and they're hanging tough.
I'm going to say most entertaining.
Or are you going to go with the Oilers blowouts?
No, well, of course, I love those. That's just like music to my ears, Bruce. But no, I'm kind of leaning Pittsburgh, New York, just because like they went to triple OT, right? There's been some drama with the goaltenders.
Yeah.
Malkin gets that big tip deflection goal in overtime, and Sid's playing some great hockey, and New York's got a good team. Shersterkin's had some it's just kind of there's been some storylines there, and it's been a fun series to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some goals too, if you like goals. So
yeah,
lots there to like. Toronto Tampa's always good, just because Toronto and the fans there, they're just so they're so high strung right now. Like,
oh man,
it's fans just are high strung. Like, go look over Toronto.
Oh my God, they just after the last loss here, they just buried the team. That one defenseman, what was his name? Hull, Justin Hull.
Justin Hull, yeah. Well, Steve Simmons
they just
stupid comment, right?
Buried him, and it's like, good grief, buddy. Simmons should put on some skates and see if he can play defense.
I didn't get into it on Twitter today, Bruce, but Steve Simmons is the biggest loser I've probably ever encountered online. Like I've never met somebody that first of all, I've never met the guy, but I've never disliked somebody so much that I've never met. Like, I don't know what that guy's issue is, but he constantly is ripping people for nothing.
Oh, it's Leafs media, right? The Leafs are the center of the universe, so they think, and everyone's got to bow to them. And well, I'm sorry, the Leafs haven't accomplished crap here in the past little while until, like I said before, until they can actually win a series. I'm not picking them to pick anything.
Yeah, fair enough. So speaking of winning anything, how are you feeling about your bracket right now? How are things looking?
Well, it's kind of interesting. So I did my bracket, and then I did one of those your bold predictions for the first round of the playoffs. So
yep.
My bold prediction for the playoff is that Colorado, Florida, Carolina, and Calgary would all lose in the first round. And so far, 3 of the 4 are in tough, and Colorado, I'm pretty sure, is gonna pull through tonight and win their series in 4, but the other 3 could be in trouble here. Like if
It
Dallas
sounded
wins
crazy,
tonight, or
Bruce.
what's that?
It sounded crazy when you said it, but
I know.
you're not far off.
It's yeah,
Ugh. Well,
yeah,
as we like to say, you got to risk it to get the biscuit, right? So
yeah. But yeah, my bracket's gonna be toast here if some of this stuff keeps going the way it's going.
well, it's the way it goes every year, right? Nobody has a crystal ball.
Exactly. Like I would have never thought Florida would have had this much trouble with Washington, right? So they're tied at 2 now, as opposed to being, although they were 1 goal away from being down 3-1. So
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I guess just on that topic, Bruce, who has been the biggest individual surprise for you to date through the playoffs?
the biggest surprise,
Good or bad?
well, bad is Shersterkin for sure. I expected. Um, individual. I don't know if I really have an individual one. Like I would say, like the perfection line has been fantastic. Like since
Yeah.
they've been reunited. In
Yeah,
terms
I
of
can't
one
beat that.
overall individual, I guess. Well, for me, I guess look at if you look at goaltenders, look at Oettinger right now, what he's doing for Dallas.
Yep.
Uh Makar really wasn't much of a surprise, but holy crap, he's really good.
But he's really stepped it up.
um, other than that, off the top of my head, I can't really think of.
I would kind of just echo those same sentiments, Bruce. I think Shusterkin bad. Ottinger's been fantastic. Evan Bouchard's been a really nice surprise here, just based on his production.
Hmm.
Ryan McLeod, actually, just in terms of like more depth of role players, he's been really good for the Oilers.
Yeah,
Um, I'm kind of surprised at like the lack of production from Claude Giroux. Like I thought we'd get a little bit more out of him in Florida.
yeah. Well, he's down on the third line now too, so he's not up with Barkov and he's up there. He's on the third line now.
Yeah, they're rolling with Barkov, Verhage, Duclair, and then on the second line they've got Huberdeau, Sam Bennett, and Sam Reinhart.
Yeah,
But I mean, he's playing with Marchment and Lundell, who have also been they've had great regular seasons and they've been just fine in the playoffs.
yeah.
Um, and then I guess let's just talk about each series a little bit. Let's touch on it briefly. So, kind of one thought on Pittsburgh, New York for you.
Holy crap, Shusterkin.
Okay. Nothing
um,
else needs to be said there, really.
no, it's he's the one that's been holding the Rangers together, and it seems like he's coming apart. And if he's coming apart, the Rangers aren't going anywhere.
Uh, for me, it'd be the play of Sidney Crosby and him just turning back the clock.
He's been incredible.
Been really really good for them.
Yeah,
Um, Washington, Florida. Yeah, I see your comment here. What happened to the Panthers? It's just been shocking how much they have struggled with Washington.
yeah, yeah. Like I would have thought with Washington's goaltending that the Panthers would have had a field day with them, but they're in tough. But it is the playoffs, right? It's different. It's a different animal in the playoffs. What?
Totally. I was gonna look up Sam Sonoff because I don't know. Like he's actually been good.
He's been really good.
I just want to
Oh,
pull up his numbers here quickly because I say he would be the other surprise for me in that series. Would be either Samsonov. He's got a where's he at? So he had a 17 save performance in game 2, 967 save percentage in game 3, and a 906 in game 4. So um, we'll see how he shakes out. But yeah, he's been good.
yeah. I didn't give Washington much a chance against Florida here, and they're hanging tough.
It's crazy. That's the playoffs, though, I guess.
That is exactly it. Like they said, everything can change in the playoffs.
Um, Boston, Carolina. I mean, obviously, yeah, the perfection line. We've talked about that, at length here on the pod. But um, the
And how
goaltending
bad?
situation in Carolina, I think,
Yeah,
would be like a pleasant surprise, right? Just what we've
yeah,
gotten, or what we've seen from Ranta and from
Yeah, like how bad do they miss Freddie Anderson right now?
They need him back, right? They yeah, for sure.
They sure do. It's I'm almost thinking at this point we kind of talked about goaltending, but we kind of thought it would be more on the Hurricanes would be slightly better than the Bruins, and right now it's turning out to be the exact opposite. Swayman's put in two really good efforts here, and the perfection line is rolling.
Well, and that's a big thing has been the performance of Jeremy Swayman through 2 games. Allmark struggled. I think that's been a real problem for them.
Yeah,
Um, we've talked about in the live streams is that Boston and Carolina. Boston has carried the play 5-on-5 there, and they just haven't been able to. Well, at least through 2 games, they couldn't get a goal, right?
yeah. Now they have lots.
Now they have lots. No worries there. Um, Toronto, Tampa.
It leaves. LOL.
It's the same story every year, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
they get out to a good start and then they're right back at it. So,
Somebody posted today when the Leafs are ahead in the series, they have a record of 1-8.
oh boy,
Like
yeah,
someone mentioned it. It's was an NBA coach. It referenced to a fear of winning. They think that's the Leafs are having right now.
hmm.
Like they had a chance last night to basically put their foot on Tampa's neck and take them down 3-1, and they didn't even show up.
Yeah,
Like they people that had watched said their game was worse. They played worse than the Oilers did last night.
yeah.
Like it was a complete no show by the Leafs last night.
So, well, let's segue there then. Let's go to the Oilers and LA. I mean, yeah, you said the Oilers are in tough. Can they pull it out? I think the Oilers actually they didn't play great. It was kind of a regular season effort from them in game number 4.
Mm-hmm.
But exactly what you said there, Bruce. They had a chance to put their foot on the throat of the Kings and go up 3-1 going home for game
Yeah,
5.
and they couldn't do it.
And now it's a brand new series, right? It's a best of 3.
Yep,
And I think the Oilers are the ones facing all the pressure here. The Kings have zero pressure.
I agree completely. The Oilers are under a ton of pressure. They need this win a lot more than the Kings do.
Absolutely. The Kings shouldn't even be here. Like they know I mean, we talked about these guys last summer, right? And I think I
Yeah,
actually saw them making the playoffs, but more as like a wild card 2, right? Like barely scraping in.
they're on house money, right? They
Yeah.
Doughty's out for the season. He's not gonna be available for the playoffs. I don't think Arvidsson has played a game yet.
No.
So they're in tough and they're battling. And like someone said last night, when McDavid enters the zone, there are 4 skaters on him. They got one guy covering the
Yeah.
rest of them, and they got 4 guys around McDavid. And
They're
I,
going to have to be patient. The Oilers just have to be patient. They have to play physical. They have to get back to hitting everything because
yeah,
in games 2 and 3 that really worked for them. And wearing down a young defense because Sean Durzi is the best defenseman in LA right now.
yeah. Like who would have thought, right? They're missing people back there too, and yeah, the Oilers should be better than this, but
And I
still a
saw a
lot of
tweet on a tweet earlier. Someone was talking about Mike Smith is the problem, or if we had Jonathan Quick in net, the series would be over. Well, Quick's had some good starts. I mean, obviously last night he had a shutout, but I think through the series his save percentage was like 894.
well, yeah, those two big two blowouts really took a
Yeah.
hit to his numbers.
Well, and he let 3 goals in the first game, and so meanwhile Mike Smith has a 940 save percentage. So
Yeah,
I think Oilers fans don't need to panic, right? We just gotta take a deep breath, and the Oilers will be a different team in Game 5.
yeah. I think you said like the Oilers just need to be patient, right? They know that up the rush they're going to be covering McDavid like they're gonna swarm him, right? So
Yeah.
he needs to see that and he needs to get the puck away because if they're all coming to him and he can get the puck away, it's 4-on-1. So it's shouldn't be too hard to score if they're doing that to him. So if you can get them all to come and he can get the pass through, they're gonna have lots of opportunities to put the puck in the net.
All right, let's talk St. Louis, Minnesota. I think for me, it'd be the goaltending for St. Louis. Just seeing Binnington come back and post some solid numbers. Not surprised to see them kind of pull the leash quick on Huso because they down the stretch they were kind of splitting those guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, they were kind of feeding starts to Bennington at the end there to try and get him in the groove here. And What's kind of surprised me is a lot of these games have been blowouts, one way or the other. It hasn't been real close games. They've all been blowouts, one way or the other.
Well, was it 4-0 and then 6-2 and then 5-2 and
And 6-2 again.
or whatever? Like it's just it's yeah, you're right. It's been lots of blowouts. But same thing in Toronto, Tampa. Edmonton had a couple blowouts. Well, and then they lost 4-0. Like
Yeah.
it's been up and down all playoffs. It's been really interesting.
The nice thing is that it's going that blowouts are going back and forth, and that we're seeing things are heading 6 to 7 games. Nashville just took the lead, 3-2.
No way.
13 minutes left.
Oh boy, it's gonna ruin my picks for today, Bruce.
It's gonna ruin mine too because I picked Nash. I picked him to sweep.
All right, and then well, I guess we're talking about them. So your note here was: is it 8 days left, or is it 8 days for Nashville? They're damn close. If they lose tonight, that'll be it. But
Mm-hmm.
they're close to at least getting their one win. I think. I thought anyway. I think I had Colorado in 5. I didn't expect a sweep. Like you rarely see the sweep, right? It's just
It's tough to sweep, but I kind of thought goaltending was going to be an issue for Nashville, and Ingram has been a very good thing for them, a very positive thing for them out of this because I didn't really give Nashville much of a chance if they were going to go with Rittich. So Ingram has come in and he has played really well
yeah,
and given them a chance.
yeah. I think the sweep is so hard because it's embarrassing for teams to get swept in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
So they push.
Absolutely.
They throw everything, including the kitchen sink, to avoid getting swept.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then the last series here that we haven't talked about yet is Calgary Dallas, and I think we covered that quite a bit already in this episode. Jake Oettinger, his play, the lack of scoring from the Flames, particularly Johnny Goudreau.
It's a defensive battle. Like it's a war. You're fighting for every inch of ice in that game. There is no that is back to the old days where they had the clutching and grabbing and stuff like that. Like you're literally they're beating each other into submission.
Well, not surprising, right? This is the kind of hockey we expected to see from Daryl Sutter.
Yeah,
So,
very much so. But it's surprising to see Dallas leading in this series. That's the surprising part. I
oh yeah,
would have expected this to be a little more. Well, Calgary's carried the play, but Dallas is getting the goals.
yeah, yeah. 5-on-5, they've actually it's been a 50-50 split. Before tonight, I don't know what the deal is tonight. I see Calgary's up 2-0 here. So they're well on their way with 9.5 minutes left to tying up that series. And I think at that point it's advantage Calgary.
I think so.
Because now again it's a best of 3.
Yep,
Calgary's got home ice advantage.
for sure.
Could get ugly quick for them.
It could.
And then just we've got one more word here from one of our partners. This episode of the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast is brought to you in part by Amazon.ca. To Amazon Music Unlimited subscribers will receive access to 6 months of Disney Plus for free. Users that sign up for an Amazon Music Unlimited subscription starting at $7.99 per month for Prime members and $9.99 for non-Prime will have access to Disney for 6 months. Renews automatically. New subscribers only. Terms and conditions apply. The Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast is an affiliate partner of Amazon.ca. As an affiliate, the Hacks will bring you the latest deals and promotions from the world's largest online retailer. If you enjoy and appreciate the podcast, the blog, or other forms of content that we provide, please support us by using our affiliate link before making your purchase on Amazon. There are no hidden fees, no additional costs to you, just a simple, free way to show your support to the show. So thank you to everyone that uses our affiliate links and even just listens to the show for that matter. We appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
And the last thing I'm going to mention here, Bruce, because we've kind of gotten away from it, is Ask the Hacks. Obviously, being that the regular season's done, fantasy hockey is, more or less on pause at the moment. But, if you have any questions about fantasy hockey, keeper leagues, dynasty leagues, whatever, DFS questions, if you have any betting questions or anything like that, send them in and get entered to win a free 1-year subscription to the Left Wing Lock iPhone app. Bruce, you don't have an iPhone.
Nope.
But I can wholeheartedly say it's a great app. If you play fantasy hockey, if you are into sports betting, anything like that, it's the best app around for checking your goalie starts and daily lineups and all that kind of stuff. So check it out. Send us a question. Get a free subscription. And with that, Bruce, we're 55 minutes. We're a little longer than we want it to be, but that's okay.
That's all right.
That's all right. Okay, well, just as always, be sure to subscribe or follow us on social media, on Twitter at FHHacks, on Instagram at Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Check out our website, fantasyhockeyhacks.com. If you do have questions or comments or otherwise, please send us an email, fantasyhockeyhacks@gmail.com. I'm Devon.
And Bruce.
Bruce. Bruce, it was another good one. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for
Absolutely,
doing it,
lots of fun.
We'll talk to you tomorrow on the live stream.
See you then.
All right, take care.
Hey, good night.